William Wagner here at the Llewellyn Justice Center at 312 East Cook Street, Santa Maria. The case of Ryan Fling, a four-time deployed Iraqi Afghanistan war veteran who works, his mission specialty is getting rid of munitions that are left on the field that are still explosives. He's on trial here for one count of brandishing and shooting a weapon, firing one shot to get some drunks out of his apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning. They were basically trespassing at that point. He had asked them to leave. And one was Steve Miller, who was pretty obnoxious, had caused some women to leave the party by threatening to rape them and unzip his fly. And after all that, Mr. Fling fires one shot to get the drunks out of his apartment. The case is being heard by Judge Bullard in Department 6. The jury is out and they just came back asking for a better definition of what's negligence and what's gross negligence, which is the key. They get to decide. Under these circumstances, with people who got stinking drunk and still wouldn't get out of his apartment, is it gross negligence to fire one shot intentionally into a post on his patio to let them know he means business? Now, this particular Steve Miller was testified to that he had a history of being violent, being a bore, bullying people, having a violent confrontation with somebody, and then break the other person, breaking it off, and then go outside and chase the person down and beat them up a second time. Facing that kind of a person in your property, is it justified to fire one shot into a post under control, injuring nobody at 3:30 in the morning, just to get them to leave your apartment so you can go to sleep? That seems to be what the issue is boiled down to. And I have to say, though, Judge Bullard, I have to say he appears to be trying to be very fair in this case. This is the first case I've followed Judge Bullard all the way through a case. He seems to be very fair. It's William Wagner here on a warm sunny day in June 2012, seeing if justice is going to happen for this Iraqi veteran, Ryan Fling. See you. Attorney Gary Dunlap and his client Ryan Fling from Colorado, who's got a Second Amendment case, and the jury was hung 5-7 or 7-5. Is that a good reflection on the Second Amendment in the hearts of people here in Santa Maria?
Well, it's very interesting, Bill, because if you think about it, as a Second Amendment type case, and that was a large part of our defense, the 7-5 pretty probably reflects the national opinion polls about the importance of gun control laws and Second Amendment versus Second Amendment rights. Whether this was 7-5 for conviction or 7-5 for acquittal, we don't know because you're not privy to that information. And so I would say that it's very reflective of the national, pretty much the national opinion ratios. I think that Paul Greco put on an excellent evidentiary case. He did an excellent job in laying out the prosecutorial facts of the case. I think that perhaps the weakness of his case was his lack of judgment in prosecuting it as vigorously as he did from that standpoint.
You think he did overkill? If he charged a lesser misdemeanor and a lesser crime, that he might have got a conviction, you think?
No, I don't think he would ever have gotten a conviction, because I don't think that Mr. Fling committed a violation of the law.
Of any law.
However, I do believe that the prosecutorial insistence on a felony conviction for a right that's guaranteed under the Constitution to protect your life or property from a trespasser is one of the rights that we have. And keep in mind, this was not a physical injury case. This was not a case where anybody was harmed. This was more, and I think that perhaps there were other lesser offenses that could have been charged, and there would have been other resolutions that could have been reached.
If this had been done as a common law case, it wouldn't have even come to court, would it? Because there was no injury.
Well,
Therefore,
that's correct. If you recall, I made a couple of references to that to the jury, and no injury changes things substantially. Although this is a case of a risk to injury, a risk of injury, but under the circumstances of this and the particular qualifications of the people that were involved and the particular skill sets that they brought to the incident, it did not fall within the parameters of the violation section that they charged him with. And in fact, if he would read the transcript of my final argument, I think that he'll understand that this case has been tried enough, it should be left where it is, and everybody should go about their own business. That's what should now happen. I don't have a lot of confidence in the good judgment of his office in reaching that same conclusion, but I would hope that they would. And I think that if they would read my final argument, it would perhaps wake them up.
Do you think there's any possibility that Greco will try to recharge again and recuse this judge to get a different judge?
You know, I don't want to guess what tactics the prosecution...
But he could do that.
I don't think that the law would allow him at this point in time to recuse as a matter of right. I think the judge would have to agree to withdraw.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for this interview.
Thank you.
Well, that's the end of this case. The jury's been dismissed. Neither attorney is allowed to contact them except in a very appropriate manner. The names of the jury and addresses have been sealed by the Judge Bullock. I'm William Wagner at the Santa Maria Courthouse, where we're not sure whether we got justice or not. It was a hung jury. That means at least 5 out of 12 people believe in the Second Amendment, the right to defend yourself in your own home when people refuse to leave. I'm William Wagner, watching it for you. See ya.